You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we talk all about creating and donating thousands of AI-powered audiobooks to Project Gutenberg on the AI Show. Make sure you tune in. Hello and welcome to this episode of the AI Show where we're talking all about creating and donating thousands of AI-powered audiobooks to Project Gutenberg with my friends Mark and Brendan. Hello, my friends. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us who you are and what you do. We'll start with you, Mark.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show, Seth. Really excited to be here. I'm Mark Hamilton. I'm a software engineer here at Microsoft. I run the SynapseML distributed machine learning library and also getting the PhD with Bill Freeman.
Nice, Brendan.
Hey, I'm Brendan. I'm a software engineer on the SynapseML team, digging into this Project Gutenberg stuff and excited about working on tech philanthropy.
Fantastic. All right, so we'll start with you, Mark. For those that don't know what Project Gutenberg is, can you fill us in?
Yeah, great question. So Project Gutenberg is a nonprofit that has one of the largest open source collections of ebooks on the entire web. It started back in 1970 when Michael Hart, he got a free copy of the Declaration of Independence, and he was so moved by this that he sat down to his really old dusty keyboard and typed it all in and shared it on the original DARPA web in the 17 nodes that was the internet back in 1970, and that became the first free ebook. And he then decided that by the turn of the century, he would share 10,000 of the most read works of literature with the entire world. And so since then, it's grown to over 70,000 ebooks, and you can check it out online. It's got a nice website. You can just scroll through all sorts of different ebooks out there in the world.
And that's fantastic. I've used Project Gutenberg before to train language models. There was a show we did a couple of months ago, or maybe it was a year ago, where we made a GPT-2 model speak like Homer, not Simpsons. And so we got the data from Project, which was totally allowable to do, right? Am I getting that right, Mark?
Yeah. The beautiful thing about Project Gutenberg is all of their books are open license, free to use. You can use them in AI projects. You can use them in really anything you like, which was so delightful about Project Gutenberg.
Awesome. So Project Gutenberg, I understand, getting the world's knowledge and books freely available to everyone. What does this have to do with with AI? This is the AI show, after all.
Yeah. So a lot of people, it's difficult to read books. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and so what we're doing is we're taking the entire Project Gutenberg corpus and we're converting it to nice, high-quality audiobooks so that you can listen on the road, you can listen wherever you want, and we're donating this back to the community. So that's what we'll be showing off today. And under the hood, we'll be using one of the Cognitive Services' new neural text-to-speech to make these audiobooks really sound like a human's reading them instead of a robot or something like this.
I feel like, because you mentioned the number of books, it sounds like a lot of books. Can you give us a number of how many books you're actually? And I suspect you're not actually, you and Brendan, spending your evenings reading it to the computer. And then what did they do before now? Because I suspect they maybe had something.
Yeah, those are great questions. So they have about 70,000 audiobooks, maybe 60,000, which you might consider book books. We'll be translating about 5,000, 6,000, and we'll see if we can scale this out. Really, the difficulties in parsing these bad boys, they're not the most standard HTML files. And on your topic of what they sounded like before, we can give these a listen here. So
all right, let's see if we can get this going here.
So this is the Project Gutenberg page for the Heart of Darkness audiobook. And this was made, way back in the day, and you might recognize this voice as a Microsoft classic, but this is chapter 1 for what they already have for just a few books, maybe 20, 30 different books.
Okay. Oh, I don't think you shared your audio. Yeah, make sure you share your audio. I know. Make sure you share your audio. So they had done some of this work before, is what you're saying, Mark, but the quality just wasn't as good.
Yeah, the quality is very robotic. It's very Microsoft SAM-like.
Could not shake off the idea. The snake had charmed me. You understand, it was a continental concern. That great.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to you, Brendan. How are we solving this problem?
Right. So it sounds a little challenging up front. Fortunately, we've developed some tools and we use some open source tools online that make it way, way easier. We'll look at the code a little later and you'll see the number of lines of code you need to do this thing are surprisingly small. Specifically, we use SynapseML with
Okay.
Apache Spark on Azure Synapse Analytics to generate a bunch of audiobooks.
So what, for those that maybe haven't heard of what these technologies are, can you give us a little context?
Yeah, sure. So Apache Spark is a super powerful tool for processing a lot of large data, but it can be a little challenging to use on its own, and that's where Azure Synapse Analytics comes in. So it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of analytics tools, and one of those little things that sticks out is an integration with Spark, which lets data scientists and anybody tackle these kind of big problems that require a lot of processing, distributed computing, without having to be an expert in distributed computing, an expert in Spark. So if you've used like pandas in Python, you're going to be right at home right from the beginning. The same operations you use on tables and data frames, those are all there, and now they're just operating on huge amounts of scale. So for Project Gutenberg, we did this on some large number of computers, maybe a dozen computers, but it's about as hard as it would be to just run it on one computer.
I see. So basically, we're converting multiple audiobooks all at the same time in a distributed way, while being able to focus it on a single kind of way. Am I getting this right?
Exactly. You just kind of worry about the logic that you want to do, and we take care of all the distributed processing.
All right. So where do we go from here? Well, now that we know the context, now that we know how it's done, can you show us what you do?
Sure. So let's jump into the demo here. I'm going to share my screen.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So first thing we do, we need to set up our environment. It's not too long. First, we grab some keys we use for our services. We've got a key that we use for cognitive services. We've got our storage key. And next, we attach our storage account. So we've got an Azure Blob set up that's going to host these audio files once they're created. And now from here, we're basically ready to start making audiobooks.
All right. So looking at this notebook, if I'm understanding this right, what we're basically doing is we're attaching to storage so that we can send some audio files over to the storage, right?
Right. So Azure Synapse Analytics is kind of this environment where we're attached to all these resources that we might need to use in a convenient way. And we're just kind of hooking it up to the resources we need. We're hooking it up to the cognitive services. We're hooking it up to the storage accounts. And from there, we don't have to worry about them anymore.
I see. And so any output is going to be redirected from each of those machines to whatever you're putting in here.
Right. So in this case, we have a storage account that we're going to be reading some text from, and then we're going to be writing audio files to that account.
Got it. All right. Let's take a look at step number 3 then.
Sure. So before I jump over here, let me just pop into Project Gutenberg to kind of show you what's going on over here. What we're going to be doing today is building out an audiobook of Alice in Wonderland. So here's an example on Project Gutenberg. As Mark mentioned, they've got thousands and thousands of these available for free online. And what they show you on the page is they've got these beautiful HTML pages of all kinds of different formats, but there's lots of text in here we don't need. So we've kind of simplified it down. I've got a data frame in here that's got a bunch of parts of text split up so they can be processed in parallel. And this step is just adding on a file name to each of those rows. So for each chunk of text here, we've got a file where we'll write out an audio chunk. And then from there, we're just ready to feed that into SynapseML. That's all we need.
I see. So, and I haven't used Synapse before, so if my ignorance is showing, I'm sorry. So basically, once you define an execution, a source, and a target, and then what you do with each one of those things, you just say, go.
Right. So this is an environment that's super tooled around just like building out a pipeline. And once you've kind of connected all these pieces together and you've written your chunks of logic, you can just, you've got this automated thing that can run on its own super simply, super quickly.
Got it. So the one thing I didn't see, and I think we're starting to see it now, is where we actually run the where we run the cognitive service to generate the text. Is that what's happening here?
Right. So that's kind of the beauty of SynapseML. You know, this is all actually, this is the magic of what's going on here. And all of the complexity is kind of hidden behind these few lines of code. So the cognitive service, spinning up that connection, making those requests, worrying about things like errors, worrying about, the authentication, all of that's kind of hidden away by SynapseML. And all you have to do is just configure this client. So let me kick this off. And I believe this will be finished before I even have a chance to finish telling you what SynapseML is. But
Okay.
what we have to do here is just import the SynapseML text-to-speech client. We do a little bit of configuration here. We set the subscription key that we mentioned earlier, the location. We indicate, and there we go. It's done already in a quarter of a minute. A text column that is just, the text that we want to turn into audio, error column to indicate any errors that might come up from the cognitive service that we can then respond to, and then an output file column, which is the file names of all the audio files we want to produce. And then the fun part here, we get to pick a voice name. Stefan Neural is kind of like a good default that seems pretty pleasing to the ear. And it's one of these interesting neural text-to-speech breakthrough kind of agents that cognitive services text-to-speech has. So all of that together, you have this configuration. And then in this one line of code, this transform call, you feed in that data frame. And as you can see in this 15 seconds, it took the entire text of Alice in Wonderland and turned it into an audiobook.
Okay, so go back, because I think there's like a little. So the thing that you defined above, it had like a little UDF attribute on the code. I think it's the frame, the this one right here. Very good. So UDF, this is the actual data frame with all of the data in it.
Yeah, so this DF here, which is read from our blob, has just these texts and these part numbers here.
I
Then
see.
this UDF, or user-defined function, is just creating a file name based on which part it is and assigning that part name to the row with the text. So it's just telling us, it's a mapping that we give to SynapseML and cognitive services to say, for this chunk of text, when you generate the audio, I want you to write it out to this file.
I see. Now, the Parquet file that you wrote, that was that the thing about, because how did you break up the text? Because here, let me show our faces here. Because like the thing that about this stuff that always stinks is getting the format of the text to be correct, right? So where did you do that part?
Right. So that's kind of hidden away in this demo here.
Oh, okay.
It is a bit of a chore, but depending on the format of the book, it can be a trivial matter. Some of them are written completely linearly. You just pull the text out. We use a nice open source library called Beautiful Soup to do that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and then there's a few kind of parsing strategies you can go with to try to pull text out. Some of them have a nice table of contents where you can pull out the chapters, and some of them you have to do a little finessing. In this case, yeah.
So this is something you did beforehand, and that's what's in the Parquet file. Okay,
right.
Now I'm understanding it. Now, if we can go back to the TTS thing, and this is what I think is really cool, is you're defining this pipeline of things to do that then it will take it and just do it all for the whole thing.
Right. So this is basically defining a pipeline that can take an arbitrary set of text and feed it in to create an arbitrary set of audio files generated from it.
And in theory, what is the limit in the number of things that it can do at once? Like, how many books can it, like, let's just say in the limit, like how many books could it be doing at once?
Right. So for this specific configuration, the limit you'll run into isn't defined by Spark. It's not defined by SynapseML. The limit you're going to run into is the cognitive services resource, which is going to rate limit your calls. But the nice thing about SynapseML is you can take this simple configuration, and the way we've designed the library and the APIs is that you can kind of start with a simple configuration. And if you have a more complex need come up, for example, you're trying to overcome that rate limiting, you can use a more complex configuration. So, for example, instead of setting a subscription key, you could set a subscription key column. You could allocate multiple cognitive services resources, and you could give multiple keys that allows you to have a higher throughput.
So in theory, if you set it up right, you could convert all 60,000 things at once if you had 60,000 nodes to run it on.
Yeah, theoretically, if you had the nodes and the financial resources to make those calls, you absolutely could scale this pretty much without limit.
That's really cool. All right, what else is in this notebook that you wanted to show us?
Right. So from there, we've generated the text. Once again, I'd like to make a little brag. It only took 15 seconds to generate that
Yes.
whole audiobook. Very proud of that. Before I show you the audiobook, another thing I want to geek out on is the actual cognitive services text-to-speech underlying this. We kind of mentioned it before, but these models we're using are neural text-to-speech models, and they actually are kind of shown to have a sentence-level parity with natural human speech. So this is no Microsoft SAM. This is one. There's Stefan Neural here. There's a bunch of these voices, and they're coming out with new ones all the time that have exciting new features like emotional inference and these things. So, the previous audio sample Mark gave isn't a super high bar to reach, but I think we've surpassed that by quite a bit.
I love it. I feel like I want to hear it, but I don't know if your audio will work. Do you want to hit play and see if it works? If not, we'll
I'll
get
give it a
Brendan to
shot.
share his screen. We're imagining it's wonderful right now, but let's oh, sorry. So let me go to your screen and let's see if we can't. Hold on. But before you do it, I want everyone to know that I actually trained my own cognitive services custom neural voice. So maybe one day I will read the book to you.
No, we would have made this in your voice specifically for this show.
I know. We could have done it, but we didn't. All right, let's. So now that I wish I don't. The only sound I don't have is a drum roll. But why don't you play it for us? See what it sounds like.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Chapter 1. Down the Rabbit Hole. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank, and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it.
Let's pause it.
That's a little snippet here. It sounds pretty good. It's messed up occasionally, but on the whole, a lot better than Microsoft SAM.
Absolutely bananas to me. Like because the one before that you had, I mean, it was okay, it was great, like for the technology, but this is absolutely amazing. Like we could have just played the whole thing, and I would have been like, oh, because it was reading in a very calm, like very intelligible way, which I think is absolutely really, really cool. Okay. So just to finish up, anything else that I'm missing? Like where can people go get these? Because I'm suspecting.
I'll pass it over to Brendan for getting.
All right, Brendan, where can people go get these?
Right. So we've got about 5,000 of these published already. We're publishing more. You can go to aka.ms/audiobook, and we will redirect you from there to our collection of books. We're publishing them for free to the commons at the Internet Archive. We also have a little page, and we're trying to distribute them on as many channels as we can to try to make these as useful to as many people as possible. We also are publishing code examples of this. If you want to give it a shot yourself and try out SynapseML, you can also go to aka.ms/audiobook. And I can show a little sample of the page just
Let's
so
do
people are clear. All right, if you can see my screen.
You can.
Got it. So here's aka.ms/audiobook. Thanks, Mark, for setting up this beautiful page for us. Whoops. Down here, we've got the channels where you can listen to this, starting at the Internet Archive. And if you want to check out our code samples, just go right down here. Just go to SynapseML, go to GitHub, maybe drop a few stars our way, and enjoy it.
Well, this is really cool. Not just the fact that it's reading it and it's allowing, because last week we talked about accessibility. This is making certain books that belong to humanity now at this point accessible to more people, and not just with someone that's hearing impaired. I might be seeing impaired. I might be seeing impaired when I'm driving, for example, because I can't read a book. And so this is a really cool thing. Just for those that are wondering, here is here is the Project Gutenberg Open Audio Book Collection, aka.ms/audiobook. The Spark website for if you want to learn more about the SynapseML. Sorry, the SynapseML website. Go to aka.ms/spark. And then for the paper, if you want to look at it, it's on the archive website, Large Scale Intelligent Microservices, which is really cool. All right, any final takeaways from you, Mark, and then we'll go to you, Brendan.
Well, I mean, I hope that you guys like it. I hope that you find these audiobooks useful. Our goal here is really to democratize access to these, and listen, let us know what you think, and feel free to give some comments on it. We've set up a form there. You can talk to us.
Awesome, Brendan.
Yeah, we're looking for feedback. We hope you enjoy it. And if you have any ideas of how we can improve it, if you have any feedback on the quality of the books or new books we can add or should add, just let us know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us, my friends. And also, thank you so much for those that are watching. We've been learning all about how to create and donate thousands of AI-powered audiobooks to Project Gutenberg with Mark and Brendan. Thank you so much for watching. And hopefully, we'll see you next time. Take care.